Welcome to the Hot Topics podcast. I'd like to welcome JC Hall, CEO of Unbreakable Female Athlete. So happy to have you here. Tell us a little about yourself.
Thank you so much. So I am a former student athlete at the University of Iowa. I was on the women's rowing team. I graduated in May. I have two full-time jobs. So CEO and founder of Unbreakable Female Athlete, and then I'm also a communications director at Regina Catholic Education Center. So kind of doing a lot of things. I got my hands in a lot of places right now, but Unbreakable Female Athlete is a women empowerment business that I sell worldwide. I'm currently in 12 countries right now, and we work to educate, inspire, and empower female athletes all around the world under one message, Unbreakable.
Hey, that's awesome. So
Thank
to kick off our questions, let's start with your rowing journey. You were a Division I rower, which is an incredible accomplishment in itself. Can you tell us a bit about your experience in rowing and what drew you to the sport in the first place?
Yeah, so my journey to the sport is a little bit different than most, but very similar to a lot of other collegiate rowers in the Midwest. I played soccer my whole life. I ended up fracturing my back and had a partial spinal fusion. And my senior year of college, which also happened to be COVID, I found out that it probably wasn't the smartest to play college soccer just because they had fused my bones and getting hit, it just wasn't safe slash smart for my back. So I have that mindset of I wanted to be a collegiate athlete and I had had that whole vision my entire life. And so quickly I had to figure out kind of what I was going to do because I had this decision made in February. And, once you get past February, school year starts to end, things are quick. So in March, actually right before COVID hit, I did a talent transfer program slash tryout at the University of Iowa. They go through all of these different testings and they kind of, they test you on your athletic ability in all different facets of, being an athlete. And then I came back and was like, you know what, I really loved that. It's really hard. It's a big challenge and I'm up for the challenge. And it also was kind of a smarter decision because I wasn't going to be getting hit in the back. So I was like, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to try it out. You then go to the university and you do a tryout on top of that. So typically, how it works is there's about, like I think this year there was about 100 girls that came and tried out. And then we also have recruits. So we have girls from all over the world. Uh, our ratio is starting to get a lot. We have a lot of recruits that are international. We have a lot of girls from all over England, Italy, or not. We had Italy, England, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Ireland, um, South Africa. So we have a lot of girls from everywhere else in the world because rowing's really big all around the world. Not as much in the Midwest. And then there will be, there's about 100 girls that showed up to the tryout, and then by the end of the year, there's usually in that freshman class like 20 girls left. So they'll take about, 30 girls and then they'll cut you down from that as well. And so then there's about 20 girls left of that freshman class. You go and race, and then by your senior year, there's usually, about four or five of you left because the sport is a lot harder than many realize. It actually truly was the hardest thing I ever did in my life. But yeah, that was kind of my journey. I stuck it out. You start learning how to take your first strokes. And then at the end of the year at the Big Ten Championships, you're racing next to girls who are racing for their home countries and, are training for the Olympics. So it's a really cool thing because if you can come in super athletic, you can learn and pick up the sport. It's just finding people that are athletic enough and able to learn the sport enough and put those two things together to be able to compete at such a high level. So, and the Big Ten is really interesting because the Big Ten and now 100% is the most competitive, most difficult conference to be in for rowing. So it's going to be really interesting to see how things shake up because, more people keep coming into this conference and it's a really competitive conference and it's really fun. So yeah, that's a little bit of about my journey. It was kind of a long-winded way of saying I started out playing soccer, ended up a rower.
Hey, that's awesome. It's all about how you get there. It's not the
Yep.
destination. So, how's the discipline and focus required for rowing shaped your mindset, not only as a person, but in sport, but also outside of sports, especially in terms of resilience and leadership?
Yeah, this sport, it's the when I say it's the hardest thing I've ever done, it's the most grueling sport in terms of it's all cardio. So discipline is looks like getting up at, 5 a.m., going to the boathouse when it's dark and getting on. I'm sure many you've seen the rowing machine, getting on the rowing machine for, 2.5 hours in the morning, going to class all day, coming back and getting on it for another 2 hours at night and leaving while it's still dark out, So getting up and doing something that's really hard and really uncomfortable really helps you because life, everything outside of that to me is easy. Now that I've graduated, nothing is hard in my life because that sport and, being committed to something so much, for 4 years of your life truly does make everything else in life easy because you have to work around being an athlete, being a student, and then on top of that, throw an unbreakable female athlete, being a full-time business owner. So I really had to learn how to manage my time, how to get things done quickly and efficiently. I couldn't, a lot of people, it's college, you want to go out and have fun, and which is awesome. And you will also, resonate with this. You can go out and have fun, but also we have, it's a job. Being a student athlete is literally a job. It's a job in itself. And so having another job on top of that, I had to sacrifice things so that I could see myself be successful in other areas. And that doesn't mean that I don't have fun and I don't enjoy life, but I know that, I have to make sacrifices to be successful. And I think that that's the discipline piece that is really important. And that's what sets people who are successful apart from those who are not as successful. And I'm not saying that it's not okay to go out and have fun because you need that to fill up your cup, but knowing, where's the line and where's the balance, and how do you pour yourself into the things that you want to see, come to fruition in life. You have to know how to put your effort out there and how to, set boundaries for things. So I think the sport taught me so much about discipline because I had to manage so many different things that truly it does make my life a lot easier now because I've been able to manage all of those things and I've found, the recipe and the secret to success. And really, it's not a secret. It's just you have to know how to manage your time and you have to know where you want your priorities to lie.
Absolutely. I mean, that resonates for any student athlete, but you really encapsulated it very well. You've now transitioned from being a Division I athlete to the founder of Unbreakable Female Athlete. Can you share the journey behind starting this platform and kind of how you got to be in such an incredible position?
Yeah, so it's kind of I'm coming up on 3 years now. The short story of it is I sat down in 2022 and I wanted a t-shirt about being a female athlete, specifically because, as a female athlete, as an athlete itself, there is so much that you go through. And then throw on being a female athlete, we're still trying to catch up with, our male partners in life, right? Like the male athletes, the sporting world and everything has been built around male athletes, and we just want to catch up and be with them. So not I've never said that, it's one over the other. It's just like how can we rise together and be successful together at the same time? That's what I've always been after. And that was never, the goal with just a t-shirt, but I wanted a t-shirt about being a female athlete and what it meant to me and what epitomized it. And unbreakable was a word that stood out to me because there's so much thrown at women in sport, but we still continue to show up every day and still continue to show up and compete in the sport and want to be a part of sports and, want to be equivalent to everyone else, right? So I made a t-shirt, I put it on social media, and then it blew up. So I went to bed. You will again resonate with this. I'm in bed at 8 p.m. because you've got a workout at 6 a.m. So I'm in bed at 8 p.m. and I wake up and quite literally it had blown up on social media. People were Venmoing me. Someone found my Venmo, put it out there. People were Venmoing me, asking me for these in sweatshirts, t-shirts, whatever, whatever type of something you could wear, you name it, they were asking for it. And I had borrowed my friend's Cricut, so which is, like you can like print things out, and had just bought like a t-shirt from Walmart and put it on. So I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy. I've got to start cranking this out because I've got all these Venmos in my Venmo and I don't want to send the money back. Like this is really cool. People like my idea." And that's kind of when I sat down and stopped and realized this is a space that people need to see filled. And I'm passionate about it and I'm going to fill it. So that transformed from just making a t-shirt for myself to making a t-shirt for my teammates to making a t-shirt for, people on Venmo and TikTok. And then I created a website. And that's when I started to invest all of the money I made from this business right back into it. So I drained my bank account and buy a flight to England, and my roommate's British. And in England, Unbreakable Female Athlete's second biggest um, place in the world is England. It's really cool. When I get to England, it's really cool because man, do those British rowers really support Unbreakable Female Athlete, and it's the coolest thing. So I bought a flight, went there, and just started giving out free Unbreakable to anyone and everyone. And I was like, check out my mission. We want to educate, inspire, and empower girls and women all over the world. We want you to feel like you're a part of a community, a family, and we want you to know you have girls and women all over this world that have your back and that, are continuing to show up for you every single day and fighting for you. So it kind of gives you like one, you're wearing a message that's empowering and that, if you feel good about it because you're empowering yourself and you're empowering others. Maybe you don't even realize it because you're walking around and someone reads that and they're like, "Oh my gosh, like what's Unbreakable Female Athlete?" Starts to get your wheels turning. That was the big like that was the big emphasis on the t-shirts. And then it just sparks a revolution of conversation and a community and a family. And so, yeah, it started with that. 12 countries in now where people from 12 countries buy continuously. And now I've gotten to this point where I travel the world and speak to young girls, college teams, high school teams, businesses. So, for example, Marriott hotels invited me in to speak to their women and minorities about how to be successful. What were my keys to success, and how did I use that within my student athlete life, within Unbreakable Female Athlete, and how can you implement that within your life? And so it's really tied all of my goals together very nicely, like in a bow, basically, because I get to go and physically meet with people and talk to them about how I created my business and what my motivations were. And maybe they don't want to create a women empowerment business, and that's completely fine. But they can use that recipe to build something that really is meaningful in their life and a space that they really want to see an impact in. And that's what I think is so empowering because if we all truly poured ourselves into one space in life that we really care about, doesn't matter who you are or what you believe in, this world would be a better place because whatever you're passionate about, you can pour yourself into it and that space is better, that space is better for it. So that's truly what I love about what I get to do. And on the back end, I get to donate money to youth grassroots female athlete organizations and help remove barriers for girls and women in sport. So it all started with one t-shirt, and truly I wouldn't be here if it weren't for my teammates and my family, and my best friends, because, they believed in it at first, and then it just kind of blew up from there, and I just continue to, it's like a snowball. It just keeps rolling, and every day's, I'll never tell you I know what I'm doing because I don't. I didn't go to school to be in business. I went to school for psychology, but I'm learning every single day, and I'm trying to surround myself with people who do know what they're doing and maybe they don't know what they're doing in the exact same space, but if they don't know, someone else knows. And it all works out. And it's been pretty awesome. I've got to meet some really cool people. And, I have dreams of it being as big as Nike someday. So while that sounds crazy and sounds like a huge, lofty goal, it started with one t-shirt. I would have never imagined 3 years ago it's where it is now. So I think I can hit that goal. It might not be tomorrow, but someday, I'll get there.
I'll be looking forward to that merchandising,
Perfect.
especially
Yeah,
for
you could be one of my models. We can put you out on the boards, the
art.
billboards.
So, looking ahead, what do you see as the future for female athletes? How do you envision the role of Unbreakable Female Athlete evolving as more women push boundaries in sport?
Yeah, I mean, I see us continuing to just push the boundaries, push the envelope, like you said. I think that the perfect example is women's basketball right now and women's soccer. Those two sports truly, while basketball is, really big in the US and so is soccer, soccer is more so even bigger in other countries. I think those two sports are really showing what all of these other sports can be. I think rugby is another big piece. I mean, it's having these big women in sport who have a platform and have a voice, continuing to share their voice and continuing to share the message. And there's little girls watching that, seeing that they can be that someday, but there's also little boys watching that and seeing that they can be that someday, right? Like I grew up, I idolized girls and boys in sport. And I think that it's cool that that is, starting to change where there's little boys wearing Caitlin Clark jerseys running around. That's really cool. And I think it's not something that you would have seen when you and I were growing up, but it is something that we're starting to see now. And so I think we're just going to continue to see girls and women in sport evolve and push towards where sports has always been. And that's what I look forward to. I see Unbreakable Female Athlete continuing to push that in the way that we're continuing to spark conversations with the apparel, continuing to spark conversations with my speaking engagements and, making connections. I'm making global connections now. And what's cool about that is, I go over to England and I meet with these people. I can connect these, women in business over in England with these young girls, young high school girls at the school that I work at who maybe have this dream of being, you know, a a student in Oxford, in England. I can make those connections and maybe it's not even sports, maybe it's just women in business. It's just these platforms and these spaces for women to be themselves and to show up every single day and feel like they have a seat at the table because they do. They belong at the table, right? And so for so many years there wasn't a seat at the table, and so it's how do we continue to open up more seats and have more women and have more voices and not throwing women in spaces, but like making these spaces actually for women and designed for women because often we show up in spaces that have been designed for men. And so it's how do we have spaces that are designed for both genders or having just a space for everyone to be in. And I think like I said, it's continuing to push that message. It's using social media, it's using the platforms and the voices of all of these huge women in sports that are badass and doing amazing things. The more they speak out and the more they use their platform, the more voices, the more ears that hear that and the more young people can see that can be me someday. And it's inspiring the young generation to know that they can be powerful, just as powerful someday. So yeah, Unbreakable Female Athlete, I'm just going to continue to push that message and continue to donate money back. That's a huge portion and a huge piece of this is finding ways to remove barriers to access sport for young girls. So whether that be changing shorts from white shorts to darker shorts or purchasing sports bras or purchasing pre and post game meals, that funding is very important. And so being able to provide that funding and keep girls in sport is ultimately the biggest goal of mine. And I do that through, my partnerships and the apparel sold and the speaking engagements. So the more I do that, the more I can give back. So that's what I see it. And, I see us partnering with big female athletes someday. I think we've partnered with some pretty cool female athletes, but I see us, how Nike partners with, Caitlin Clark. I see that, as well. But I think it actually becomes a bit more powerful because it's a brand dedicated to female athletes. And I think that's what's going to amplify the voices and continue to push the message and continue to just create this world and this space, a space for everyone.
That's amazing. I can't wait to see that world be played out.
Thank you.
What would you say to young women or girls who aspire to become athletes but might be facing doubts, barriers, whether they're mental, physical, or societal?
I think I just say keep pushing. This world, like I said, there's so many people that are pushing for this world to be a space, an accepting and safe space for you. And I want you to know that there's a community out there in Unbreakable Female Athlete, but in all of these other spaces as well. Find your people, lean on one another. Find, girls that you can, lean on and talk to when things are hard because things do get hard. And when they got hard for me as a female athlete in college and even in high school, I was able to lean on my teammates and my best friends, and we were able to get through the tough times together. And I know that's hard, telling a young girl that, and sometimes that's hard to actually understand that and grasp that message. So the biggest thing I would say is you have so many people behind you fighting for you. So keep going, reach out to your biggest fan, your biggest, the people you want to, reach out to. Like there's a lot of big stars out there. Reach out to them, send them messages. You might not hear back, but you can always reach out to Unbreakable Female Athlete because I'll always respond. Like it's just know that this world and the world of sports is a space for you. And while it might seem hard, continue to push through and continue to lean on people because it's gonna continue to evolve and it's going to continue to be a better space for you. And we want to see you. We want to see you in sports. There's so many people pushing for you and fighting for you. We stand on the shoulder of giants, and I stand on the shoulders of like Dr. Christine Grant, who super cool. University of Iowa is, trailblazing for women in sports, but also we have been forever with Title IX. I stand on the shoulders of someone like her. I hope that someday someone can stand on the shoulders of me, and that's what I try to be. So know that there are so many women that you can stand on the shoulders of, and you can be that person as well someday for someone.
That's such an amazing message. Our final question as we wrap up, what's next?
Yeah, pretty cool. I have a collaboration, a partnership, like I said, with Oxford. So Oxford Women in Business, really awesome group of women. I'm super excited about that partnership. And we're hoping to tie it in and create Are You the Oxford Female Athlete? It's going to be really cool. So the president of Oxford Women in Business is also a rower, and she races in the boat race, which is a really prestigious long running race in England for rowing. So it's a pretty cool tie-in. We're hoping to do an event together in the summer and bring all of these women together. Another cool thing that I have coming out is NBC Sports is doing a story on Unbreakable Female Athletes. So look forward to that. It's going to be pretty cool. Going to get to hear from not only my perspective of the business, but also the perspective of my teammates, my best friends, my family, and just kind of see the progression of where it started and, you know, how I've had all of the support, not just hearing from me, but hearing from the people who lived through it and who truly epitomized the message and helped bring the message out. And yeah, I think that I've got some pretty cool partnerships in the works, maybe a team that's going to be in the Olympics, possible partnership going on with them. So yeah, look forward, watch this space because I think it's going to be pretty cool. I'm excited, and maybe one day, not maybe, Unbreakable will be as big as Nike, or maybe we'll even partner with Nike. Who knows, right? So yeah, watch this space because it's always changing. Every day I've got another cool thing coming up.
JC, you're amazing. This was by far one of my favorite hot topics to do. I can't thank you enough for your time and the work you do. It's phenomenal. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much. And thanks for having me on. This is awesome. I love what you're doing, and you're making a difference, not only in women's sports, but just sports in general. You're killing it. So thank you so much.
Thank you.